Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. JD here again. Hope you're all safe and well. This is going to be a quick video today, and I promise it will be a quick video today, but somebody commented yesterday, forgive me, I can't quite remember who it was, but they mentioned what happens if you follow a PCP with another PCP early. And I had an email a while ago from someone who didn't actually realise that they had kind of built in the negative equity of their previous car into their new agreement. And I think that's quite worrying, actually, that if you do kind of, I imagine what happens is a dealer will call you after, say, 2 years or whatever and say, oh, look, we can get you in a brand new car for X amount a month. And people will go, oh, yeah, brand new car, brilliant. And they don't really take apart the agreement to kind of see what's happened here. So what I wanted to do here is just use the finance details that we looked at yesterday, which was the BMW 520D. I'll put a link up to it. Can never get my arrows right. Is it that way? There. I'll put a link up to it there somewhere. But I'll use the same figures, and what we'll do, we'll pretend that we bought that car, and then in 2 years' time, we want to buy the same car again. So we just want to get into a new model. And we'll assume it's the same figures just for simplicity and just to demonstrate what could happen. Okay, so just nipping over to the old spreadsheet. So yesterday, in that previous video, we looked at a BMW 520D Auto M Sport. By the way, forgive my lockdown hair. I got fed up with wearing a cap, so you'll have to put up with it today. So if you remember from yesterday, the cash price was 42,370, so we'll put that into the old sheet. The deposit on our side was 469, and the deposit from the dealer was 7410. And if you remember from that previous video, we couldn't actually get the maths to calculate properly. There is another deposit or something going on this quote here that isn't shown, because if you multiply 47 by 439, add on the deposit and add on the guaranteed future value, it doesn't quite compute, but we'll assume it does. So let's say we put these figures into the sheet. So what was the guaranteed future value? 15,291.64. Starting month we'll say is this month, June 2020, and the APR was 1.9, and it was 47 equal payments. As we found out yesterday, it was 448 on the spreadsheet, and they're saying 439, and that's why I can't quite get it to tally. The spreadsheet will always be a little bit out, but it won't be £9 or £10 a month out. So let's assume that. Sorry, I've just had a text and it's distracted me. Let's assume that we run this car for exactly 2 years, and we go back to Mr. BMW and we say, oh, can I get in another 5 Series? And let's see what might happen. So if you remember from yesterday, on the previous video, we used Parker's to get an anticipated value of this particular car in 2 years' time, and it was around 20 grand. So let's assume that in 2 years' time we get 20 grand. Oh look, I've already filled it in. So we are, in 2 years' time, under this agreement, roughly, give or take a little bit, because we don't know what we're going to get offered for the car, but let's assume it's 20 grand. We're going to be almost £5,000 in negative equity. So we go to the dealer and we say, right, I want to get into a new car. Now, if there is sufficient deposit contribution on the agreement, they can often, I've certainly had this quoted to me before, they can often use that to offset any negative equity on your previous agreement. Excuse me. So let's do that. So we go back to the dealer and let's assume it's exactly the same agreement, but we've got £4,939.18 of negative equity to settle the previous agreement. So what we do is they take their deposit contribution, and I don't know where my phone is, so I'm just going to have to work this out, bear with me. So their deposit contribution is 7410, but we've got to pay off 4939 of the previous agreement. So that leaves us with, let me just work this out. Where's my calculator gone? So we need to do 7410 less 4939. I'll tell you what, I'll just put it in here, can't we? Oh, we can use Excel to do it for us. So 7410 minus the negative equity, 4939.18. So that means we've now only got £2,470.82p or thereabouts towards the new agreement. So all of a sudden, our monthly payment has increased to 557 from 448 or 439, depending on where you look. And we are now, let's just say, okay, another, I mean, you wouldn't do this, obviously, because if you were changing your car every 2 years, you'd do a 2-year agreement or a 2-year lease. But I'm just kind of trying to demonstrate what could happen. Let's say in another 2 years' time, you fancy another car under the same terms. So this time, look, because we've now carried the negative equity over from the previous agreement, we're now going to be in even more negative equity the next time round. So we go back to 24 months, and let's assume again we can get 20 grand for the car. We're now £7,409.42 in negative equity. That's interesting, look, because that's, give or take a few pence, exactly what the deposit contribution is on this deal. So again, assuming it's exactly the same thing, let's go along to our new deal. And we've now got to pay off £7,500 of negative equity, which is negative equity from deal 1 and negative equity from deal 2. So now we've effectively got no deposit contribution under this same terms. Our monthly payment has now increased to £612.14. I mean, I know this is getting daft, but it's just to try and make a point. And we go to 2 years again, we're now £8,650 in negative equity. So the negative equity isn't obviously linear because we're paying more on the monthly payment as well. But you can see how it's escalating. And that kind of worries me. People who, are tempted to get into a new car on a PCP early, where is that negative equity coming from? It will either be as a separate finance agreement. The finance company might give you a loan in addition to your new PCP agreement, or sometimes if there's sufficient deposit contribution available, they can use some of that to pay off the previous car. I just wanted to demonstrate that because it's quite interesting. If you kind of escalate it and compound it on, you can soon get into a real mess. Now, yes, as I've said, you wouldn't ever do this. You wouldn't keep going. You'd do it over a smaller period. But I just hope that exaggerates and explains what can happen if you're tempted into a new car early and your negative equity is somehow built into the new agreement. Hope that was useful. Nice and short today. As usual, please comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.